I think this course you just want to be relaxed. Like you don't want to rush. It's a long event. The course is hard. So
Hardest course we've ever seen. You know, the bike course is just rocks and picking your way, and you have to literally be on it almost all the time. So, honey, you ready? So, what you got there, honey?
I've got my national champion shirt.
Does it say that? Look at that! 2021 national champion.
It was tough.
It was probably the hardest race we've ever done.
It was really tough.
The swim was pretty straightforward. It was the easiest part of the whole thing.
I luckily had warmed up a few degrees. We got in the water the week before the race and it was really cold. But we did discover a secret tip.
Yes.
We put Vaseline on our faces so our faces didn't get so cold and you didn't get such an ice cream headache when you got into the water.
Yeah.
I think my swim needs some improvement.
Yeah, we did.
So one thing that happened is my timing chip came off during the swim on the first lap, probably about 300 or 400 yards in. I stopped and took it off and then shoved it down the front of my wetsuit I didn't have anywhere else to put it, so.
Yep.
So that cost me some time for sure. A very nice fellow competitor though stopped and asked me if I was okay when I did that, which is always really nice to see.
My swim was slow but steady. I was surprised at how straight I was going around the course. I think I added a few extra yards here and there, but I still am not a big fan of the little run across the beach and then dive back into the water.
Yeah, it's interesting doing that because you don't realize first of all, when you stand up, you feel very disoriented. So you kind of have to reorient yourself. You have to pull your goggles up because I tried to run with my goggles still on, but the beach isn't quite even. So I kept tripping and stumbling. So finally I'm like, this is stupid. I'll just take my goggles up. And then when I hit the water on the other side, I was more out of breath from running than from the swimming.
The bike was crazy hard.
That too, that was our strategy. I think that was both of our strategy as well. And I think almost everybody in the race was like, well, we're just gonna get through the swim.
Right, and
save our energy for the bike and the run.
Because the bike takes everything that you have. Where you're either trying to pick your way up or around, or you literally look at the trail and can't figure out where the trail is. Yeah. Because you just see kind of the exit to the boulder field.
3 miles in on the first single track, I went over my handlebars, face first onto the ground. Again, very nice people stopped and asked if I was okay, but I was actually fine. And then the rest of it, I just tried. My strategy was just push the easy sections as hard as I could. So be it fire roads or there were a couple of grinding uphills, not too many. And then anything where I could just keep moving, I was just pushing as hard as I could, but I was off the bike a lot.
I got to this really, really difficult rock garden and I was probably a little too overconfident. I went over the bars, hit my elbow again, and that was with 8 miles to go and probably some of the most difficult sections of the course ahead of me. I was literally in pain for the next 6 miles. To the 6-7 miles to the finish.
But I had no clue what place I was in the entire bike ride. I just kept pushing, and if I saw a woman in front of me, I'd try and catch her.
Do you think that's because there wasn't a lot of spectators on the course? Normally when there's spectators, people will be counting. Somebody will say, yeah.
I think it was because, yeah, there were no spectators out there, but for this kind of stuff, there usually isn't. There were a lot of races going on. So there were like, I think 8 different races going on. So I think it was just very confusing for everybody as to what race anybody was in. So getting off the bike, I had no clue what place I was in. So I started running, and my strategy was to kind of start a little bit at a slower pace, just to kind of get my legs underneath me. And then around 2 miles into the run, on one of the rock gardens, I tripped over a rock and hit the ground really hard on top of some other rocks and split my knee open, and the blood was just gushing down my leg, even got blood on my shoe.
But you know what they say, it's not about falling down, it's about getting back up.
Yep. So I did sit on the ground for a few seconds before I got back up. And
you got to count all the body parts when that happens.
Yeah.
So what place in reality were you at that point?
I was in second. I did not know that, but I was in second place at that point. But then it wasn't too long after that I started picking it up again, and then I saw a woman in front of me, and I was like, okay, I don't know what race she's in, but I better pass her. So I kind of crept up on her, ran behind her for a little bit, and then on an uphill section, just went by her once it was a little bit more clean, weren't as many rocks and roots. Picked up the pace on that section, and then I hit the final rock garden trail called Sitting Bear, which was, I don't know, 1.2 miles long of rock gardens. So I was very careful on that, not to trip again. I still had no idea what place I was in. So when I hit the final fire road, I threw in another surge and just pushed all the way to the finish line, because A, I didn't know, and B, there was waves that started behind me. So I didn't find out I won for a while.
I wound up finishing 5th in my age group, which
excellent result.
Which is a pretty good result. Again, not on the podium, but good enough that I get my ticket to the Worlds. So we'll have to see. Hopefully we'll be going to...
You'll get your ticket to the Worlds. So we both accomplished our goal. Our only goal was to qualify for this World Championship race, which takes place in 2022 in Australia.
But I definitely, thanks to my mom, who came out and was a great support to us while we were training and napping and training.
and napping more.
Wanted to say a big thanks to Kyle from, I think it's called Skid Cycles, just opened shop. If you are in New Jersey and you'd like going to bike parks and go up to Mountain Creek, it's apparently a really, really cool place to hang. Big thanks to Ready, Set, Go Adventures, Dave Schwartz. Big thanks to his crew, the volunteers, and everybody that came out on race day, and to our fellow competitors. You know, we all survived the course. You know,
there was good camaraderie out there too.
Yeah.
I think everybody was asking, you know, there were a lot of crashes out there, and I think everybody was asking each other if they were okay. And there, my parents also came down to watch the race, so it was great to see them too.